Let me get up one of my 提问回答。So story time. Frugality. A story time by Young Tell. I used to not be willing to pay for pens, exercise books, snacks, life accessories, fancy paper towels, and bin liner bins. Now, I pay for them quite easily. I don't have that mentality to be thrifty with things. I expect there to be more supply when I need it. More supply of it when I need it. I don't care that much about bookwork than before. But I still do think that it is nice to see. I just don't think of doing it anymore or wanting to have it. Its significance in scarcity has diminished rapidly, but now I think back to those times and wonder about that discipline. I guess it's 从俭入奢易，从奢入俭难. So I am grateful for my willpower. I also know that humans are resilient and that survival mode, when things become scarce, is going to ignite the frugality. It is not lost, just diminished for now. But I think it is important to not take abundance for granted. Please use it wisely. Storytelling time! Research project failure fault. Today I felt scared of the display Q&A session that is happening tomorrow. I feel that I am an imposter that will let people down. I don't think I have shown people that I'm good at what I am doing. I don't think I am showing people that I'm doing a good job. I think the stuff that I have done is minuscule compared to that done by others, and also far from what I think is my expectation. I feel sad that I let myself down and that I will let others down as well. If I let people down, I will forever be plagued by it. But it is probably not really the truth as it is over dramatic. I think I have high expectations, but not enough willpower and discipline to achieve it. I think others achieve those goals and feel that I lost the game in competition. I also probably used to being a winner. I am scared when people think I won, then find out that I cheated. I guess I never was expected to win. I think I am just a normal person, and as a normal person, I still deserve to be loved, celebrated, and treated with respect. I want to calm down from being scared. I am privileged that I have the space to do so and express in private. I just want to like myself, enjoy what I do. I want to not feel that I am lying. I also want to be proud even if I don't win. I feel like I have a high standard bar when it comes to liking myself. I expect myself to be very incredible before I can like myself. I don't accept myself if I fail, but I think it is because I compare myself with others. If I compare myself with others, If I compare myself with myself, I can probably find other improvements that I have gained along this journey. I think I learned and worked hard. I continued to the end and I have taken on a challenge. I have broadened my knowledge and horizons. The height of this bar has no bounds. There is always someone that is better. So trust that I have applied myself to this task. I have known what behaviors help and don't help me move forward. I know how to respond to things. I can reflect and change to better adjust to the social environment. Of course, being critical of myself means that there is a clear understanding of what I did right and what I did wrong. For me to like myself, I need to see myself in an objective way. I need to know what is good for me. I need to know what I should avoid, what makes me unable to concentrate. This life is about experimenting and improvement. I don't feel like a failure I don't feel like that a failure is the end of the world. It is not the end until you die. I like myself for reasons that I am conditioned by my culture of no, maybe. I like myself for reasons that are conditioned by my childhood and adolescent environments. But there are new reasons for me to like myself. I can control those standards, and I should be the judge for myself. Being scared of letting people down is one of these conditioned ideas of standards to like myself. I need to understand that I cannot please everyone. I need to give myself a standard of satisfactory performance. Let go of wanting to please them because they may never be satisfied or may be easily satisfied. What? Let go of wanting to please them because they may never be satisfied or even easily satisfied. Just doing what others want or expect is a signal of no agency or personality. It means that you don't really put a lot of thought to critically think about it. In the end, I am my own master. I want to reclaim the control of my self-expectation standards, reclaim the right to govern and moderate my own progress and achievements. I hope that this may comfort you a little to know that I struggle, but I wish you have the calmness and forthrightness to be confident in the person that I have become this year, just a fellow student that doubts themselves. Storytelling time with Yong Hui Tiao. Publishing a book. The cow that jumped over the moon is still the highest search result for my name in Google. I did this program because it was what the cool kids did, admittedly being quite expensive. I probably got hate for it by the college kids. I did not feel extremely inspired or motivated to write my story. I did feel outshone by the veterans and multi-published child writer who talked a lot about her experiences with diabetes. I found that people did not care about me either. I worked hard on it though. I had a light box from a glass dining table and dislike. I don't remember why I chose a cow over the moon, but I guess it meant something to me. I remember the library was sort of like my sanctuary or something I could do alone. I made the book and no one was really that proud, so it felt very anticlimactic. Only a teacher was like, "Oh, you could be a writer if you don't want to be a scientist. So thanks for believing in me." It was the only thing I really had any pride in during year 6. Story time with Young Hotel. Teeth. I got the tooth pulled out by my Chinese teacher's husband in their home practice. I remember it not hurting a lot, but there being a lot of blood that came out. I went to the dentist with government-sponsored lookups. I wanted braces because all the good kids had them. I could not comprehend why it was such an unattractive thing. I thought it came. I thought. I thought it came people confidence. It made people. I thought it gave people confidence. But alas, even in China 2016, I did not get a checkup, did not get braces. So that brings my trust in my parents' advice to a resounding end. They were even more keen for me to get eyelid surgery, which is probably still relevant, okay, and necessary. But also plastic surgery, which is not. I think that they have this blind faith that relatives actually bring benefits. Sorry, I don't believe it. So I'm getting my wisdom teeth out. I also have bad jaw alignment that affects my lips and effectively speech. This is probably the biggest investment of my 20s. I potentially am looking at braces if wisdom teeth doesn't solve much. Also, eye laser surgery, please. Yeah, I don't believe in what my parents say about not needing that. This is why we believe in health technology. I think that these days are things that I am willing to pay the price for just to spite my parents, in my mind. Yeah. I also know that this cost of is very middle class, which is not humane, and the system should not be like this. Story time. Glasses. Eyes. I struggled to see in year 7, and Mom got mad. Then Dad said nicely to me that I should have told them earlier. I got glasses in a super bourgeois place with an optometrist that was pretty snobby. I startlingly felt that sense of class difference and pain that my mom had to pay the price of for that very low service. Mom did not want to pay for the frame, so I used an old one. I again felt shame when a salesperson shamed us about it being so old. But it has a retro feel, so really it was not that bad. It was heavy though, which is to say that the bourgeois place is not really worth it because the lens are not that great. Then when we went to China in 2012, I got my second pair, then my third pair in China 2016. I want to get my eyes lasered and not wear contact lenses because it is scary poking my eye and I already have lashes doing that for me. Story time. Menstrual period story. I got period on the day I was leaving for China 2012. I had to attend 30年法会. I stuffed my underwear with toilet paper. There was no pain. So I was the Ling Zhong clan for the first and only time. I got to Zhangxiang, but I was nervous and forgot the Qimei, which was very embarrassing. Then I had to eat at Zhaitang, and then we trotted off to the Brisbane airport. I told my mom after landing at Hong Kong airport about my period coming. She was quite nervous and stressed. She gave me a pad. Then she started to be frantic over keeping me warm, drinking hot water. Then I felt so stuck in this sucky situation. When I arrived in Fuzhou, my parents told my grandparents, later my relatives, everyone, so there was no privacy at all. My mom was worried and angry at the same time because she was disappointed that I got my period earlier than she wanted to be. I felt depressed. I think my parents were trying to put on a cool about being happy and talking about me growing up in a celebratory tone that seemed pretty forced. It felt more like a loss of innocence and a burden to go through, especially when paired with all the politics of China trips. I got yelled by my mom. I was angry that I got my period at first, a few times after that, and I'm pretty sure that the overall consensus is that having my period was, especially at that time, at the timing that it came, was not a good thing. So, yeah, I was too young in their opinion. And then later on, I was depressed about puberty as a whole, and my mom would say I never grew taller, and it wasn't my fault that I did not go and exercise in the sun enough, and blah blah blah. So, I remember one time having pain, but I think the pain was during being cold, not period, which is normally the only pain I actually get. But I still despise periods and the associations. It was sticky, the toilet that didn't flush properly, and the bin that was blood infested with all these bugs. And it was a great scene that I will always remember. That was like this whole rite of passage into period world. It was more intense than, yeah. It was just a very stark entrance ceremony. Yeah, okay. But yeah, one thing I exercised was my quick reflexes to unexpected occurrences and public humiliation. Yes. I tried a tampon in 2020. It leaked at night. And also, it did not absorb much. I was so nervous to use it. I watched all the videos that I could before. There was a pain to put in and more pain to take out. As in figurative pain. It wasn't really painful, but it was just very frustrating, annoying, and harrowing, and just not very easy mentally. So, not really keen to use it again. I am contemplating on all the other measures that can be used to stop periods, for example pills or implants, but I'm not sure about it yet. So yeah. There's actually this other story that's kind of connected. It was in second year of university, and I think it was in the second semester. It was before exams were happening, and I was very, very stressed. I actually got my period like 1 week after the previous one, and I was pretty like shocked and frightened by it. I thought, this is clearly something wrong with me. Something's not right here. And paired with this lovely, what's this called, hamster dance or something music. So I looked up stuff on Google, as you do, and there was talk about cancer and stuff. So I was like, There was also this thing about stress. So I was like, it's either I'm just stressed or I'm gonna die. Well, yeah, let's hope it's the first one. And it was, I think. So yeah, I just try to calm myself down because I was quite shocked that my body would react in such a way. This has never happened before, so I really realized how stressed I actually was. Yeah, so that's an interesting story, so yeah, that's what I should look out for. Yeah, don't be too stressed. Cool. Bam, bam. Ha 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 ha. Bam, bam. Oh, what? Oh. I'm just surprised that they're doing this on a Saturday. And it's like, these people work hard. And it's strange that they don't practice in the studio. Why outside the Like, I mean, they built a studio very new. Why don't you use it? Okay, so next, let's talk about a sad thing. My experience is toxic nostalgia. I feel like it came when I was really depressed about the present during puberty and the departure from being in Auckland and my friends. I rejected the present because it felt really lacking and not aligned with my values. I hated what I was becoming and wrangled with the new definitions people would ascribe me. Very depressed, very shunned. Felt like no one could help me. I would spend a lot of time looking at past class photos and reminiscing about those friendships. Well-rounded well-rounded educational curricula. I wanted to feel beautiful and successful and competitive. I still liked to dance, also found rhythmic gymnastics, but there was a lot of powerless that I felt isolated, sheltered, feeling psychological things I did not like to consume. I did feel very confined mentally. These things, the things that gave me the most confidence during childhood, Auckland days, were my extracurriculars and my growth. I felt the sense of beauty when dancing. It was my talent for a while. Art was also that gave me a lot of recognition, mainly from the Buddhist community, because of what Mum wanted me to do. Speech and drama was okay, but lonely. Swimming was something I was getting good at. I wish that it had continued for longer because once puberty hit, it became something that took a huge emotional toll to do. I did go and continue swimming a bit with Dad. I did want to have friends while doing it as well. I enjoyed the Tai Chi Chinese class because it was fun. The private class was stressful. Oh, sorry, not Tai Chi. Oh, I enjoyed. I was like, what? It's fun. I enjoyed the Tzu Chinese class because it was fun. The private Chinese class, was stressful. I went to Girl Guides for a bit. That gave me more of a community. I also went to temples a lot because of my parents. So I took pride in being that athletic, artistic, knowledgeable, smart, intelligent, leadership, in touch with heritage kind of person. I was being a part of mainstream. I felt a strong urge to want to be the Guanhanzi. Before I would get a lot of recognition and celebration for my hard work and abiding to the rules, I also felt a lot of encouragement from the wider community. I was connected and accepted, and I was also the norm. That brought a lot of strength. Then it changed to a climate where there was severe divide between us and them. Once we got to the college community, we were Chinese, they were Caucasian. We were Buddhist, they were not. We were moral, they were not. We were the smart people, they were not. We were this one, they were not. We were influential, they were not. We were the givers, they were not. Us and them were not equal. The changing tide that I tried to chase was confusing. It did give me some initial return and approval, but gradually a sharp reversal began, as I faded from the center of celebration. I realized that I was innately never going to be beloved, and climbed to the top of I realized that I was innately never going to be the beloved one, and climbed to the tip of the acclaim in that community due to being blah blah blah, and not having the ambassador effect. Okay, well, that's long. Okay. I realized that I was innately never going to be the beloved one, and climbed to the tip of acclaim in that community due to being female, unattractive by beauty standards, and not having the ambassador factor. I gave up and felt betrayed by the system. So that was the height of toxic nostalgia. I was running away from reality in every possible way. I despise that I was so deeply connected to that community. It gave me this insecurity that I am labeled as positive and upholding their values. I also do not agree with them on various factors, especially gender. The multicultural thing is still a puzzle to me. From looking at it in the history of the community values and how nationalistic, patriotic, blindingly proud they are of themselves. From retrospection, I also think that class is also a big divide of this is also a big part of this disagreement. In terms of ethnic battles, they are strangely pro-China, even when there are so many Taiwanese constituents. It seems that this whole community has a strong force of brainwashing that I don't get. Dollar Jantan is like the signature experience that amalgamated all these things that I disliked. I somehow was really compliant during the entire process of attending Dollar Jantan. But being in this community is really politically, socially, and religiously charged. There were moments where I felt like I did get some enjoyment, but most of the time it became a mundane routine to follow, and I cursed it so much. The most heart-wrenching thing is that my parents and I both think that it was the best for me, and it was my own agency. My mom showed intense love for the community, and I wanted to please her and say things that she liked. I also felt encouraged by it all at first. I just had such a huge appetite for pleasing my parents and gaining recognition from people around, and not regaining, and gaining recognition from people around me. Then when I fell to the bottom, I really hated myself and felt sorry if I complained, since I made it happen, apparently. They would say things like,真有善根,真有慧根,上辈子修的福报. But I think that as a child, I really am in the hands of my parents. I would never be able to really radically do something and have them agree so willingly. I wanted to break free of my parents and wanted their approval. This was further reinforced by the 2016 Chinese Day. The pains of all the suffering gave me a strong determination. Maybe if it wasn't as bad, I would not have felt such a strong emotion, which is quite thought-provoking. Yes, I do think that there were valuable things that I learned, but I understand everything a lot more now. I can confidently say that I should have been able to feel more belonging, encouragement, celebration, achievement, purpose, connection during those years. It did not have to be as bad as it was, but whose fault it was is hard to pinpoint. I would say that I wanted to help. I would say that I wanted mental help and support. I wanted to have a different environment. I voiced my thoughts and felt frustrated. I did everything to survive, and I'm proud of what I did and how I progressed. It does give me a lot of drive and motivation to contribute in a way that will end a similar thing from happening. Something I wish that I had when I needed it. I think I have learned not to expect from my parents anymore. I should treat them as any other individual that I am not dependent on. Toxic nostalgia fueled my return to Auckland, the birthplace of all my most precious memories. This displacement experience triggered my profound learning lesson. It took a long time to not have toxic nostalgia. I can pinpoint it to the time I stopped collecting physical remnants / artifacts of memories, and when I had that huge purge of all my curated memory artifacts in the 2019 visit again. I stopped caring of the emotional weight of objects. I even stopped putting so much emphasis on the digital collection of memories. I guess right now I'm in the phase of just wanting to experience the moment, really pay attention to that emotion in that present, and then let it go once that moment has passed, and not have that feeling of wanting that attachment towards it, wanting to keep it. I think life is beautiful when you can have that freedom to let go and not really are so desperate to hold on to something. Now I want to change my habit more and channel it towards expression. Storytelling through written, verbal, visual language. It is a way of action to farewell my past by consuming it for artistic creation like this one. I need to be critical about my memories instead of lamenting on them. My wealth of knowledge and experiences is never just down to this nostalgia. I want to say thank you and goodbye in Marie Kondo style. Story time. Piano. Mom taught keyboard at Huashefu and at home. I got lessons but did not enjoy it, and Mom made me practice. I got lessons from Mom. We had a piano with this emerald fabric cover. It was sort of like a velvety cover. And it later came with us to Toowoomba. Then my parents bought a keyboard, which I was surprised of. I was encouraged to practice it. I think that Dad always conveyed the message that for Mom, piano and music is very important to her. I think of it as Mum's way of her nostalgia and reminder of a more ideal past self. I think it is hard to cope with Mum's struggle with self-acceptance. There are many things that she is insecure about. I hope that with me being away, she is able to have more time to do what she wants. Story time! Lion Dance Club Performance Tour and Urinating Fiasco. So this is back in this is prime like Sunny Hill days, I believe. I'm pretty sure it wasn't kindergarten, so Sunny Hill days. I don't remember its relation to dance. But I remember it happening. I was in the club because the club is by the EPEC Vegetarian Supermarket. Yay! In East Tamaki. Check it out. And the club is also still there. Everything is still there, which is amazing. Wow. Okay, so I was put on to play the gong. What did I want to play? I guess I didn't really want to be part of the sort of music section or the percussion section as it is mainly, because you don't get the eyeball attention. You're just there to lift up the dancers. So I guess I wanted to do line dancing, but I was never given the opportunity to try it. So I was in this, I just had to play the gong. It was quite simple, I think. There was technique, but I don't think I really knew. I don't think I really knew about it. I was just doing what I thought was right. And then the whole day of performance comes along with Chinese New Year celebration events at various temples. So that was quite tiring. But it was fun. It was festive, and yeah, everyone had like quite a good time. But it was tiring. And then, at the end of the day, we went to this Chinese restaurant for a dinner. So all day we were in our costumes, or uniforms, whatever you want to call them, and we were carted around in a minibus. So when I jumped out the back of the minibus, I felt that all the I was holding in just came out a bit. And and that was very embarrassing and awkward for me. So we were in this restaurant, right? So there was a toilet, but there was no toilet paper. So I just had to remain in these cold, damp pants. At dinner, I sneezed, and rice flew out onto the table. Interestingly, I was sitting, it was this long table. I was sitting, like, at the, like, head, like, the two ends, facing the entire row down the table. So my sneeze went quite far. It wasn't just one person ahead of me, it was 2 rows, So, yeah. I said sorry. I was very, again, embarrassed. And at that time, I was like, oh, how can the day get any worse? So, yeah, there was this darker girl that said it, and they were like, oh, it's fine. But, on their faces, they were like, they looked pretty annoyed. But they tried to hide it, so thank you for tolerating that. I did feel really bad, but I guess it wasn't as bad as the pee that I, was trying to live with. And then when I went home, I was so relieved that I can finally end today's situation. Finally relax, But then, Mom and Dad were like, oh, we bought presents, and they were showing me, and I was like, oh, I don't know how long this interval is going to last for, because I want to have a shower. So I was like, oh, thank you, I'm trying to put on this happy face and be really happy about these presents, and not, I was trying to go with the mood, but I guess my mom still picked up that I was not very interested by these with these presents. I wasn't getting into it and I was just cool, let's put it down here. I think I got a blanket with princesses on it, and then I think I got a snow globe. I don't know what presents I actually got. I just think they were there. They probably weren't that. I can't remember. But I was really insistent on having a shower. And I was I guess they picked up. But I didn't tell them before having a shower. I was just I need shower. So yeah, I was oh, thanks Mom and Dad. And I just put them down, go to the shower. I think that was the first time I really had to I was really, being nice to my parents, being diplomatic about things while trying to hide my pain and suffering. And all this embarrassment and all this awkwardness that I experienced throughout the day. So I was hiding the fact that I really urgently wanted to have a shower, and I don't know how that throughout the whole evening, I guess, no one really noticed anything about me, or they were just nice and didn't say it. Anyways, I told my parents after the show, and they were like, oh, that explains why you weren't so excited with these presents. And I was like, yeah, but I thought I actually hit it well, but apparently, no. So I was like, oh, haha, well, all that hard work. But I could have just said, hey, I want a shower. Now. So yeah. I remember not wanting to go back to the Lion Club after that. Lion Dad's Club. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it was because of the embarrassment, or like feeling that no one was there to help me. There was no one I could cry to or like complain to. I felt pretty embarrassed. But yeah, I think also at the Lion Dance Club, it was quite lonely because I didn't feel I was making friends. And most of the members were a bit older than me. I was one of the younger ones, so I remember talking to Dad, trying to convince him, like, I don't want to do it anymore, and Dad was like, just continue for a bit, and then see. And then I was like, okay, as long as I get past, like, whatever time that my dad was like to continue for, I could stop going. And then I eventually did stop. And then, I remember after that, I was so scared to see the Lion Dance Club because I thought they would hate me for leaving. And then I was like, always avoiding them because they would still perform and stuff. I think I saw them perform a year later, and I was like trying to hide it. Like, nah, people were all flocking to the what's it called? To all the performance, to all the attention, action, but I was trying to tug my dad away, be like, let's go. So yeah, that was the extent of how I wanted to avoid it. Yeah. During the time at Lion Dance Club, I actually did also perform at the Lantern Festival, which I think was in Albert Park. I remember it from a photo taken, and also from this memory of seeing, I think it was either 古筝 or 古琴 kid performance. And then I was with my dad. I think it was after my performance, and just looking at all the stores and saw this performance, and then I saw all the kids have these band-aid things around their fingers, all of their fingers. I thought, wow, all of their fingers are injured, and every finger is injured. I was like, what dangerous instrument is this? So I was quite scared. I think I told Dad, like, I asked Dad why they all have injured fingers, or like what the band-aid thing was, but he didn't really know either, so I actually thought, okay, this is a dangerous instrument. But yeah, it was quite fun to be in a festive environment, though. Cool. Next story. Story time. My best friend KFC. So, in year 3, I finally had a BFFF, best friend forever. So in year 3, KFC was in this. What the heck? Okay, so my friend, she was sort of my rival and also idol. So I really was jealous of all her talents. I liked her because of all her talents, but also I was jealous because I wanted to have those talents. So someone who really was, yeah. So to describe her, I think it's the only time I can say it was real BFF because it was reciprocated. Before it was always me trying to like be friends with them, but they would never really want to play with me, and I was sad. So yeah. So KFC was really good at everything, really. She was good at math, English, art. She was also very popular, charismatic. She was sort of the leader of the friend group. every time during free time, or whatever it's called, recess. I don't know what we called it back then. But yeah, so I really was just like, oh, I want to be friends with this person, because of all those things, because you're so amazing at everything, and because you're like a really good leader, and I like to be part of your clan. But there were still things that I did not agree with her, such as the games that we used to play was always like kind of, there was a lot of ditching people, to shake people off, but I wasn't too super on board with it, and I would like want to sort of, I don't know, soften the blow or the pain about ditching. Like, yeah, I really was kind of someone who wanted to be nice to people, in that time. That time I was feeling like, oh, I do want to be nice, but I also didn't want to be excluded from the group myself, right? That would be tragic. So, yeah, it was a fine line, and a very tight, it's a really scary line to be walking along. So, I think one of the best memories was probably bubble play show, the first photo shoot I have now I think about it. So KFC's mom, Wendy, she has a really like professional camera, I guess. And then yeah, she gave us a photo shoot while we were playing bubbles, and she then later used her very amazing editing skills to make it into this bubble play slideshow with this very cool music. I really like the music, possibly because it reminded me of good memories, but also it was good music. It was like that 90s synth with the do 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 do. It's like very jazz, and it was like very cool. Like, it's very cool. And then yeah, it was around Christmas time, I remember. And so yeah, I was a little known for being kind of good at dancing, yes. And then yeah, that kind of showed through. But I don't think I was like really happy to be a friend. We went to Tzu Chi Chinese school together, which is also again like we also like we're like studying together with Chinese as well. So it wasn't just this school, it was also Chinese and that part of extracurricular stuff. She was better at art. She was really into art, I guess. Yeah. I was really jealous of her. And yeah, I really thought that our alliance and friendship was quite strong. Although there were always betrayals and, like backstabbing things that would happen, but I still felt like I really she was one of my best friends back then, yeah. And also best rivals, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was because she was competitive and everyone really liked her for that, Yeah. For example, Joanna, what's her name? Celine, Lisa, me, Alice. Yeah. Everyone quite liked her. She was, a very bright star. She was someone who, really was excelled at so many things. Yeah. And that's my impression of her. Yeah. So then after I moved, I was really lucky to reconnect on email and then Facebook, and that was really cool. In uni, we reunited. It was like the first win orientation for new first year females, and I saw her then. And then we also did have we were all part of the Unleashed student leadership team. So that was second year. And then in fourth year, after the first lockdown lifted, I asked to have like a coffee date, coffee chat. Yeah, so that was a really cool catch up. And it's like the only real catch up we ever had. So that was basically my like wish list for 2020, and I completed it. So I'm very, very happy. I also had a similar long catch-up conversation with you from year 3 as well. So yeah, year 3 is when I made friends. Year 3 was a good year. And also it was the last year really I had in Auckland, so after that I just had this huge displacement experience. So year 3 really remained a beacon of hope in my memories.